and welcome to Let's Build a Cult, the show that asks, what would you do if you were suddenly elected the leader of a cult? I'm your host and cultsultant, Phoenix Trinidad, and today I am joined by Callum Padgham, aka DJ Be Kind to Other People. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
I'm excited to have you here.
Oh, man, I'm so pumped to be here.
We've been reunited and just been chatting away. Very excitedly. I'm very excited to have you on.
It's so good. Literally about 20 seconds ago, Phoenix is like, hey, just to confirm, do I have to call you DJ Be Kind to Other People in full throughout the whole podcast? He obviously didn't read my writer.
Where did that come from?
Oh, that's all right.
I'm just going to jump straight into that.
Let's just dive straight in.
I think I've asked you that before, but I forget.
That's okay. I'm not a very memorable guy.
Yeah.
DJ Be Kind to Other People. It's so self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It's a message long before it's a name. And I think something that I really like about it is that on gig posters, it really fucking stands out like a sore thumb.
It does, because it's a full sentence.
Yeah, and like a mouthful of that's like clunky.
Yeah. Graphic designers must hate you.
Oh yeah, graphic designers' worst nightmare. Because everything, because DJ names are like 2 syllables.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like they need 3 line breaks.
It reminds me of, do you remember back in the day, like Panic at the Disco, their song titles and stuff were like a full sentence?
How good. That you're opening Pandora's box, but
Yeah.
I love that different subgenres beget different styles of names.
Right.
So like Panic at the Disco kind of started a thing where it's like verbose song titles.
Yes.
And verbose band names.
Right.
Because all of Panic at the Disco's song titles were like sentences.
Like a full quote.
Yeah. I write sins, not tragedies.
Yeah.
He's a genius, by the way.
Oh
Brendan
man,
Urie.
he's so underrated in terms of like vocal technique.
Yeah.
Like whenever you think about like the best sort of pop vocalists from the past like 20 years, no one mentions Brendan Urie, but he's fucking up there.
Totally. Do you know he references Daniel Johns from Silverchair
Does he?
as like a major influence for him?
Wow.
Yeah.
Also super underrated just as a musical artist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
By the way,
On the global stage.
yes.
Yeah.
Silverchair are like way at the top of my pyramid.
Yeah, right.
We are so off topic.
Yeah,
already.
no, oh man, I haven't even started the intro properly. All right, okay. We'll get back to that maybe off camera. But
Cool.
okay, so just to refresh you, you know how the podcast works, but I'm just going to give you another heads up. So your goal of this podcast is to build the most successful cult that you can. Whatever success means to you, you can define that.
Cool.
But we'll go through 3 stages. The preparation stage where we'll we'll vet your leadership credentials. Then we're going to build the cult in the build phase, sort out your logistics, and then we'll test your leadership skills with some scenarios.
Great.
And at the end of the podcast, I'm going to assess your cult and give you a cult rating based on whether or not I would like to join.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so the invite's open at this stage.
It is, yeah. You got to convince me. But Callum Padgham, DJ, Be Kind to Other People, are you ready to build a cult?
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. We have now entered the preparation phase.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think about cults
It's a great question.
or the word cult?
Yeah. Do you agree that cults have a negative, like the word cult, as you say, has like a negative connotation?
Yes and no.
Okay.
When I first started this podcast, it was always sort of negative, but I've been convinced otherwise that a positive cult could exist.
That's where
a good cult.
That's where I'm
could
leaning.
exist.
Because in the zeitgeist, I'm aware that a cult, people think of Charles Manson esque characters.
That's the first mention of Charles Manson that we've had on this podcast, though.
There you
Just
go.
so you know. Anyway,
there you go.
yeah.
I'm just floating down the mainstream here. But I have, since you invited me onto this fantastic podcast, congratulations, by the way. It's so great.
You're welcome.
I've been thinking about what cult means to me, and I truly can't. I actually don't believe that it inherently has anything bad in it whatsoever.
Right.
I think that people with poor intentions can misuse the mechanics of a cult, but most people have good intentions.
Yeah.
So and then beyond that, I think that okay, now if we're now opening up cults to things that people with good intentions do, then it's actually quite an open category of like what a cult is. There would be so many cults in society that we are all willingly or unwillingly, subconsciously a part of.
Yes. So 2 things there. So I would define a cult as like, actually, I'm not going to do this because I did read the exact definition of a cult and I can't remember it. But
Can we publish it on the screen right here?
no, but so basically a cult like always revolves around one like sort of charismatic leader, right? And they always they have absolute power, which is what I'm granting you in this hypothetical cult. So congratulations.
Finally.
But the thing that stood out to me there is that you believe that most people have good intentions.
In fact, I'm going to I'd like to, not to speak in black and white, but I think every single human being ever has good intentions.
Okay.
But I think that some people, you've heard the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people can have good intentions, which are inherently selfish.
Right.
But they're not aware that they're bad intentions.
Okay. So you think humans are inherently good?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to play with that theme. That I feel like what you're building to is going to depend on that throughout your cult. So
Correct.
all right. So
This is where DJ Be Kind to Other People ties in.
Okay. So you believe that a good cult can exist. You believe that people are inherently good. But what's the cultiest thing that you've been a part of?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think I am currently part of a pretty big cult.
Love that.
It's called Burning Man. You've likely heard of it recently in the press when Rain came. Oh, yeah. And then Schadenfreude happened because everyone was so stoked that, you know, billionaire bros got their little festival cancelled, which was certainly a part of this event.
So what exactly happened? I wanted to ask you about it before, but I'm like, let's save it for the podcast.
Save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
What happened? Do you mean specifically with the weather event this year?
With you. Yeah. With you specifically at Burning Man this year.
Okay. So a little bit of background context is this was the 6th time I've been to Burning Man.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Very much joined the cult the first year that I went in 2012.
Yep.
Going back that far, I went there looking for a party. I was very much a party boy then.
Yes.
And by about day 3, something occurred, which is a lot of people refer to, or burners refer to as burning out.
Right.
I.e., I just went too hard for too long, exhausted, and hit the end of my tether. And suddenly I was so far away from my mother, and really got myself down to 0. And it was the community of Burning Man, the burners, so to speak, they even have a name,
Right.
That pulled me out of my former self and into like a much more confident and emotionally vulnerable and available and spiritual individual.
Okay.
And I would thank the Burning Man community and the cult model that it is. And we'll call it a cult, and they're pretty. Most burners are pretty open about the fact that it's very cult-like, if not a cult. Mm-hmm. I'd thank Burning Man for in enlightening me in that respect, for sure.
So how long does Burning Man go for?
It's the event itself is a week.
Yeah.
But people can be out there for like upwards of a month.
So
building it and deconstructing it.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, does that month start when the event starts, or does it
No.
start like 2 weeks before and then the event happens and they're still there for another
the
week?
event occurs, and we look at this. Let's imagine this is the playa, the flat desert in Nevada. It's completely flat. There's nothing on it. It's
Yeah.
pretty much uninhabitable.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely, trucks start turning up and things start getting built. And over the course of what they call build week, which often extends to build a month,
Yeah.
an entire city, usually between 60 and 80,000 people, resurrects. And in a place where you would die if you were on your own, suddenly 80,000 people thrive. It's so addictive. It is so addictive. And for none of the reasons that you would immediately come to mind when you think of the word addiction, although drugs are definitely a part of it as well for some people.
Yeah.
Not for me. I was completely sober this year. And
This year.
yeah. Let's say that there's been some different iterations of my burn each time.
Yeah.
But it's so cult-like for many reasons. It was founded on 11 principles. Mm-hmm. I'm going to attempt to rattle some off.
Right.
Decommodification, meaning that there is no branding anywhere. So if people rock up with a U-Haul truck, they'll cover it with tape so it spells something completely different.
Wow.
Immediacy. So what's going on right in front of you should be your key motivator for what drags you to the next thing. Follow the right rabbit, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Civil responsibility. Radical self-reliance. That obviously came in very handy when we all got a little bit of rain on our boots.
Yes.
Which fast forward to this year, essentially what you asked earlier, and I've done a massive tangent around. What happened was it started raining after like, I'd personally been there for Build Week as well. So this was like my 8th or 9th day there. I was totally ready for Burning Man to be over.
Yeah.
Sure, it just started raining. It just meant I got to hang out in a caravan with some friends for like 3 days straight, which was fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
It was like just another blessing on top of the blessing that was Burning Man.
3 days in a caravan with friends still sounds like a fucking nightmare for me.
Yeah,
but I can understand.
Yeah, and I mean, do you know what? And I do go through like extreme claustrophobia and introversion as well. But we were all in quite a heightened state as well, where we were kind of bearing witness to what was happening around us. So that 3 days just flew past.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you got rain on day 3, and then you all had to evacuate.
Well, we couldn't evacuate because.
But you were supposed to.
Well, no, it was no. We were actually supposed to stay where we were. If anyone was caught attempting to evacuate, they would have been in trouble because the rain wets the playa, which is what Spanish for beach. It's what they ironically call the desert out there. And whenever cars try to move in there, it tears it up.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, everyone, it's a shelter in place was the vibe.
Right.
So we stuck it out. And I remember the pathetic feeling of going, oh, we're finally going to be out of here. I had a flight from San Francisco back here like in a day. And it's so dry out there that things dry up really quickly. But then I just remember that pathetic feeling of like, oh, fuck, it's going to rain again. And then it was storming again and we're back in the trailer and... it was an experience, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something I look for in each burn is A, an experience, but B, I'd love for it to be different. Yeah. I want...
a unique experience, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you're just going to the same thing.
You're doing the same thing,
Doing the same thing.
Okay, so after the rain cleared, after the 3rd day, you just went home?
I just went home, yeah. And then just bonded with my new brothers and sisters about that insane week that we had together.
Yeah, I assume like that... Sometimes when you go through shit like that, your bond is way stronger than like if you had just been there for Burning Man.
Totally.
And had a good time and whatever.
Like another example, I've worked in hospitality. Have you ever worked in hospitality?
Oh yeah,
dude. Yeah. That bond.
Yeah.
The us versus the who's behind the bar and then versus the customers.
Yeah.
That's like you're going into battle. You know, like my hospo friends.
Yeah.
Because I worked in hospitality about like 10 years ago. My hospo friends are still such close people in my life because we've all like been through something together, you know?
I don't respect people unless they've worked in hospo for at least like one shift.
I'm just wondering how many of your audience you just alienated, but
I don't care. Stop listening. I say this freely to everybody there.
I love it.
Like I respect you, but you know.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
You don't have any character.
Yeah, it definitely builds character.
It definitely builds and if it's not hospo, you got to have at least worked in retail.
Totally.
Yeah, at least one of those hospo retail. Just been on the other side of the counter of something that you encounter every day.
Be a bottom feeder for a little while.
Yeah,
see what that tastes like.
Yeah.
Can I quickly? And I know because before we move on from Burning Man, I just wanted to also add the other most cult, the other two very cult-like things about it. One, it was a central founder. Just to go back to your definition earlier, which was it was one person, right?
Yes.
This is Larry Harvey, rest in peace, died 2 years ago.
Right.
He started this when he went through a divorce in the late 80s, and he built an effigy of a man and set it on fire on a beach in San Francisco and invited his mates down, and then did the same thing the next year, then the next year, then they moved it to the desert, and it kept on getting bigger and bigger and more elaborate, and now it's this thing. Man. So there's one. Then the other thing is obviously in the name itself, which is we burn a fucking effigy. Yeah. Like we spend this entire week looking at this thing, this man, this enormous structure in the middle of the event, and it changes every single year. And on the very last night or the second last night, they fucking stuff it full of fireworks and blow it the fuck up. That's awesome. It's really sick. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, I think, I'm sure we'll talk about rituals today. We will. That as a ritual is, there's something so like mammal and terrestrial. Primal. That's the word I'm looking for. There's something so primal about like 70,000 people who've just been through this amazing week together. Who you don't have to know them by name or even face. But you can put your arm around them and just fucking scream at this fire, this explosion, this man that you've built your entire. He's right in the middle. You've built your entire awareness of the city that you're in on your geographic location, on where he is. And suddenly he's going up in smoke and the whole thing, the thing is happening. It doesn't matter what your religious belief is. It's like, it's certainly a very galvanizing and spiritual and human and primal moment.
God. And so like Burning Man obviously has this, this reputation, like it got, co-opted by like tech bros and stuff. But I assume, and like, this is speaking obviously as somebody that hasn't been, probably wouldn't mind going.
I can see there's fire in your eyes.
There is fire in my eyes, but that's a whole other thing.
There's an ointment for that, man.
But it's not the highest thing on my list, but it's something that I would consider that I'd gladly go if I was there. But how does it like? And I assume that when you're there and experiencing it, none of that comes into play. You're just there, living in the moment. But do you have moments where you're just like where you'll meet someone and be like, fuck off. Like, you're a bit annoying.
For sure.
Okay, cool.
For sure. Yeah. It's definitely not utopia.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing to utopia I've ever experienced, though. And for that reason alone, I think it's worth going.
Yeah. And that's something that I think everybody should experience at least once in their life, like having that feeling, at least, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of fuckheads.
Yeah. I can imagine. And like, that is, for me,
lots of fuckheads with good intentions.
But this is why I'd rather be a cult leader rather than in the cult, like as a follower, right? Because like the amount of times because I'm a person that like I've sought community a lot throughout my life. I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried comedy. I've been in a fucking, you join a club, you join a golf club or a sporting club or whatever. And like, no matter what thing I join, at some point I'm always like, I don't know if I want to be associated with these people. Like, I don't want these people as my identity. Like,
so you're kind of like identity shopping, window shopping, and
I feel like everybody
go and try on a coat of like you mentioned in the most recent episode, league bowling.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which I did try at some point,
which I love. That's a great episode, by the way.
Shout out Jackie Hatton. So yes, and I think that I think that's a pretty common thing. But that's why I feel like I would rather be the guy that builds the thing and has people follow you rather than be just be in the community and stuff. But
that's Pandora's box. What do you think motivates that? And how much of that's ego? This is not an accusation, just a question.
Oh, no, that's a very fair accusation. Okay. But I don't know. I guess that's sort of part of me starting this podcast as well, as being like, what is that? So, but yeah, let's not get sidetracked. This is about you. This is about you as a leader.
I'm just interested in what you were just sharing there, though, and I think it's just worth just tacking onto the end of that, like something that I really appreciated about you sharing that you go and willingly throw yourself into all these different experiences and it's interesting that you use the term to experience community. It was less about to go bowling. Is to experience, is to like be a part of something. Yeah. And I think that seems so fundamental to human nature, is to be a part of something. Yeah. And I'm sure, and I think that ego is wrapped up in that too.
100%.
For me personally, like if I was to really break apart the Burning Man experience as well, so much of it is so I can say that I'm a burner. Yeah. And then I can be, and then it's the club that I'm in. Yeah. So like just to kind of look past the smoke and mirrors for a moment, it's like I'm sure that there's also 70,000 egos out there that really fucking like being part of something so esoteric. Yeah. Or something so special. And just like, as you mentioned, how like you always get to a point where you go, maybe I don't want to be a part of this anymore. That's also indicative that people change. Yeah. And, identities change and egos change and attachments change. And yeah, this was probably the first year when I went out there and kind of thought to myself, maybe I don't need to do this for a while. So yeah.
Interesting.
Things are changing.
Well, yeah, and to tack on the end of the thing that you just tacked onto, so like for me,
imagining tack upon tack.
So when it comes to like comedians for example, which is a group of, you know, and I even struggle to call myself a comedian, but it's like,
You are very funny though.
thank you. I like calling myself funny, but I don't like calling myself a comedian. So the thing that comedians love talking about is
Come.
cum,
They
dicks.
do. I'm looking at you, Greg Larson.
Oh man, I watched his last show. Okay, we're not gonna dive.
Are we tacking onto the tack
No,
onto the
no,
tack?
we're not. Just so it's.
Oh, that's a personal attack. Sorry.
We're never gonna get through this. So the thing that comedians love talking about is comedy and like having done comedy and comedians. And I get so bored
Yes.
with just the like comedians will just talk about comedy nonstop
Yes.
as if
Which
it's
is the same thing.
Yeah, it's like I think they enjoy the idea of calling themselves a comedian and talking and like explaining
Yeah.
comedy to people more than actually being on stage. Well, not more,
Not
but
more.
a lot of people, it's part of it. So
Bro, I
you want to
completely
be
understand.
in the thing, but
Yeah.
you also enjoy just telling people about the thing.
And then they get to say, like, mate, there's just no feeling like when you're killing
Yeah.
in front of 150 people.
And I've fucking said that so many times in my life.
And I don't judge you for it because I'm sure in my own world. In fact, I've in a previous podcast, I've said exactly those words about how there's no feeling like playing on an amazing nightclub in Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
It's all the same shit.
This is an anecdote just to tack onto your tack.
Yeah.
Because we're well over time right now.
We're cutting after this bit. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
go.
okay. I went skydiving once.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. It was fucking awesome. And we were held down because it was bad weather. So we're just hanging out with the everyday skydivers.
Right.
Mate, they are a different breed.
Yeah.
The everyday skydivers, not unlike the DJs or the comedians, also love to be a part of a secret club.
Yeah.
And in their secret club, they get to interrupt the conversation I'm having with them halfway through. I would never forget it. And just halfway through, like, I think we're fucking talking about music or something. And he goes, oh, mate, what I wouldn't give to be in free fall right now. Anyway, what were you saying? I was like, dude, I get it. You fucking love skydiving. You're a skydiver. You know what free fall feels like. I get it, okay?
Shut up, bro. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
I've got him on Facebook and I hope he doesn't watch this.
I mean, I'm sure he's nice and like.
He's nice, but he's just like us. He's just like you and he's just
Yeah.
like me, and we just love to be a part of a club and tell
If he's
everyone.
like anything like me, he probably thinks about that moment every night before he goes to sleep. So I can't believe I fucking interrupted to
just
say
like
that
me, bro.
shit.
We've got a lot in common, Phoenix.
Oh,
We've
we
got
do,
a lot in
man.
common.
That's why I got you here. Okay, we're gonna try to stay on topic.
Okay,
so,
let's get back to it.
We haven't even gotten out of the preparation
This is
phase.
good, by the way. I feel like this is a good vibe.
Ah, thank you, man. We'll do 2 more of these, I think. So, what is the highest position of power that you've been in?
Wow. I think if I'm honest with myself, I'm probably currently in it with my show. This is also a plug. I host a talk show about dance music,
You do.
which is kind of not dissimilar to this. Myself and another DJ or a couple of DJs will catch up and we'll play music together and have a chat. And it's a great time. I started it during COVID, not unlike how you in a way started an iteration of this during COVID. And I certainly had infinitely less power, just to use that word, which, I understand, not unlike the word cult, has a lot of negative connotations. So purely, we're going to use the word power because that was the direct question that you asked. But I would say that I had much less power in the electronic music community then than I do now.
Wow.
And I wouldn't say that in fact, I need to be clear that I do not create this show for power or a sense of power. But it is a happy byproduct. And an example of that is the caliber of people or the caliber of artists that will now reach out to me. And the fact that like quite a large amount of people respect and listen to what I listen to.
Yeah.
They like care what I have to say about music, which is, oh my God, what? It's definitely not the reason. I need to reiterate, this is not the reason I'm doing this show. I'm doing this show so I can share a special moment with a fellow DJ. And a happy byproduct is that like when I play a song or if I talk about a song, that thousands of people will likely give that song a chance.
That isn't there like, do you struggle with that idea of being an authority on something? Like when people ask you, like just when people ask my opinion on stuff and they genuinely want to know my thoughts on a particular topic, I was like, why the fuck are you asking me, bro? Like,
Yes, I oscillate.
yeah.
I think in music, which I really feel like is like my heartbeat. It's so in me. I feel the opposite of imposter syndrome.
Okay.
I'm like, you can ask me because I feel like I'd be the right person to ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah. But
All
like,
right.
there's other times where like I did a podcast for another friend, and every time they asked me a question, the first thought that came, maybe I was having a bad day. First thought that came into my head was like, why would you ask me that? There would be 10,000 people in line before me who would have a much more formulated answer.
Yeah.
And it was fully imposter syndrome. But yeah, do you know what's interesting, Phoenix, is that literally 2 days ago, and this kind of happens often, I was showing a friend of mine a non-dance music song. It's actually a song that I've recently produced.
Oh, okay.
It's called Everything is a Blessing.
Right.
And the lyrics are very much insinuated in the title.
The title just is the most you fucking thing ever, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And I showed her the song, and then she goes afterwards, you could be the best cult leader. I'm like, whoa. It was wild because you had messaged me the night before.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Isn't that weird? How that, there's some weird stuff happening with this podcast too, in that respect too. Someone messaged me the other day saying that I popped up in their dream as a cult leader. Like they dreamt that there was a news report about me becoming a cult leader. There's just some weird stuff happening. So,
dude, you are creating a cult.
It's not my intention, but if it happens, that's fine.
You're a well-intentioned cult leader. But that's just to go back to that initial definition. At least my understanding of a cult with good intentions. How is this not a cult? You're speaking to other people, usually people that other people listen to. So if you look at it like if we imagine some kind of pyramid, we can imagine the pyramid right here. You're at the top. And then here's your guests.
Yep.
And then there's all of your guest followers who kind of all go up to this one idea that you had tossing and turning in bed in 2020.
I'm not going to say that the thought hasn't crossed my mind, because obviously it has, because that's why we're here. But yeah.
Cultsultant. You got your own lingo.
All right. Let's leave that.
That's
for another thing. I know.
I love it.
I know, but we need to move on.
We need to move on.
This isn't about me.
My cult is about slowing everyone down.
last thing is, do you think that you'd be susceptible to abusing your power in any sort of way?
So I watched Zach Dyer's episode that you opened with. Very funny man, very clever man. Loved it. He used the quote that absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yep.
I feel like it would be so arrogant of me to deny that.
Okay.
So yes, my intention is no.
Yes. Beautiful.
Which I think is a recurring theme between the two of us.
That is 100%.
This is a cult. I don't mean for it to be a cult.
But that's how, I think that's where everybody lands pretty much. So, Callum, Padgham, congratulations. You have been elected the leader of this cult.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now we're moving over into the build phase.
Cool.
Much later than we usually do. So I'm going to get you to roll that dice, and that's going to determine how many hypothetical followers that I'm going to give you tomorrow.
Cool. Okay, here we go.
So you've rolled a 16, which means that's... Wait. 16?
It's a 16.
Yeah. So you get 800 people.
Nice.
That's a lot. What's the biggest gig you've ever done?
What's the biggest gig I've ever done? I want to branch out into different media, because I've done more than just DJing. I've played in... I used to play in a touring punk rock band called the Bareback Titty Squad. We played some... Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's a side note. I don't tell many people that because I don't think it really flies in 2023.
It doesn't seem as aligned with DJ Be Kind to Other People. Actually, no, it kind of does.
Dude, I don't know about you. Do you ever reflect on the art that you used to make and go, holy shit, I'm so glad that that's off the internet now?
There's some stuff that I've wiped from my YouTube page.
Definitely. Yeah. I even made a hip hop track like 4 years ago, and I listened to it the other day. I'm like, damn, this sounds so good. I wish it wasn't so like racist and homophobic. And I mean, obviously it's not blatantly either of those. There's just gags in there that you can't make now.
Yeah. There was this is probably going to not be a shock to anybody, but there was a period in my life where I was a SoundCloud rapper. And
I am shocked and impressed.
And now that I think about it, I don't think I've told that many people that, but it's on the pod, so
Dude.
But you will never find any of the
You
tracks
deleted
anywhere.
it?
Yeah.
Just to
dig.
make people salivate at home, will you show me as soon as the cameras stop rolling today?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, love it. And I'll show you my really disgusting art that would never see the light of day now because I'm squeaky clean. DJ, be kind to other people.
Okay.
So yeah, we probably played to a few hundred people. I don't think we ever played to 800. That's
Okay.
That's mega.
But you know what it's like to be in front of people and control a crowd and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I was born for it.
Yeah, you were.
For sure.
You were. I can definitely feel it. All right. So, first things first with your cult, shelter. So, commune, religion. Where do you want to be? Are you going for a Burning Man situation where you take people, 800 people out into the desert? Or
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so great question. I don't want to mess with your format. I really love the format, but I think in order for us to move forward with my cult, I would really love to start with the goal, because the goal, I believe, dictates the location, and
Beautiful.
I believe you can work backwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
My goal for my cult is also my goal in life, and a huge reason I was excited to come on this podcast with you is because whilst I love the hypothetical element of it, and the fact that actually this entire show is a hypothetical, mine is real. And I would like to, I want to use this opportunity to chat with you candidly whilst we're recording about actioning my real vision.
Okay.
My real dream.
Okay.
And you, as a learned man whose brain and clearly you're so interested in this world.
Yes.
I think you're the perfect person to bounce off in building the real cult
Okay.
that I intend to build, or have been building for a number of years now.
Right.
My goal is that I want to systematically change the way that people treat each other around the entire world.
Okay.
Once more, I would like people to be kind to each other.
Yes.
Now, you could argue that, and it's true that every single person aims to leave the planet a little bit better off than when they got there.
Right.
And I think for the most part doing that, aside from global warming and overpopulation, I think on an individual basis, people are doing we're less antisocial than we were 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I have the skill set to galvanize a large amount of people to change how they interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And this podcast I thought would be a good opportunity to talk about how the fuck to do that. Because is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks.
So I think one of the things that I love about you is that you have the most infectious positivity that I think I've ever encountered.
Thank you. They're developing a vaccine for that.
Yeah, I fucking hope so. Because I'm not a inherently not positive. What's a you have
a healthy dose of
standoffish.
cynicism as well.
100%.
But you have an enormous heart.
I do. I've got a big heart.
He's got a massive heart. He'll pretend that he doesn't, and that's a self-protection mechanism.
It is.
But he's got a really big fucking heart.
But I remember when I first met you, I'm not going to say it was off-putting, but for me, meetings, for some reason, and this is obviously just a me problem, when I encounter somebody that's super fucking positive as the first time I meet them, my initial reaction is what the fuck does this guy want? What is this?
That's so
What's
fair.
this guy up to?
No, man, that's totally fair. I've had really close friends of mine, whilst I went through this transition into, I suppose, the person I am proudly now, be so cynical about what's actually going on.
Yeah.
So I completely understand.
Yeah.
I think that's not just a you thing. I think also society has conditioned us all to be cynical or to have a guard up.
Yeah. So, because I've seen you, I've seen you meet other people for the first time as well, and your first thing is, give me a hug, And I think
which maybe by 2024 is not on. I'll be cancelled for that. We might need to edit this bit out.
Hang on, I'm trying to remember the last time I saw you do that. I think it was post-pandemic. But
Post-pandemic, nice.
yeah. But it was in that post-pandemic stage where we're all sick of the pandemic being no, I'll fucking hug you just to spite the disease.
Because I'm allowed to, finally.
But so where does that come from?
Dude, I don't know. I wish I had an answer. I'm very stoked. Maybe I have a chemical imbalance in my brain.
I mean, probably. Don't we all?
Yeah. I am genuinely enthused by people. Yeah. For sure.
Well, that's the thing. It took me a little while to realize, that's just how that dude is.
Yeah.
You know? It's you're not the first person that I've encountered that has super fucking positive and chipper and whatever. And and I've been, we've had moments where you aren't that, but at your core, that's who you are now. And
thanks, man.
But it took me a couple of days, to realize that.
I remember you and I were in a meeting once, and I said something at the end of the meeting anyway, I really hope you all have a fantastic afternoon. Mm-hmm. And then there was a pause, and then you just go, "That was just so fucking genuine." I loved that because it was I think that could have been the realization.
Yeah, it literally probably was.
Do you remember that moment?
No.
Yeah. I think you were quite taken aback because there was silence because I think everybody in the meeting was like, "Are we allowed to talk like this on Google Meet?
We're allowed to be nice?"
Yeah. I thought we're supposed to just fill it with mundane things about how was your weekend?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we action this? What's your approach here?
Okay. Cool.
Right.
So this is where I'd love to work together. But now we understand the intention, which is, let's say, the entire world. I want my cult to be super fucking viral.
Right.
Forever.
Yeah.
How do you then get your message out to the entire world? Mm-hmm. And if you bring it even further back, where do these 800 people start?
Yeah.
The first question was geography. Mm-hmm. Where are we based?
Yeah.
I went to see Tim Minchin perform 2 nights ago.
Oh, man.
So good.
Yeah.
Super clever dude.
I saw him perform with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra a couple of years ago, I think. Yeah.
Where was it? Sydney Mine Music Bowl?
It was at, what's the one in St Kilda across from...
Not the Espy.
The Palais.
Oh, the Palais.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
This might have been 10 years ago, actually, now I think about it.
Rad.
Oh, God, I'm old. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw Ben Folds and the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra also at the Palais, which is also really dope. Tim Minchin, God, we fucking love to sidetrack, don't we, Phoenix?
Yeah, we do.
Tim Minchin said something which really, really resonated with me, which was decentralize yourself. Mm-hmm. He's talking about this big lesson that he'd learned, decentralize yourself from the main character. The theme of Sonder comes up, which is the realization that everyone around you has a life as vivid and complex as your own. So in my cult, I would one of the very, very first things I do is to decentralize myself from the leader. I can still be the leader. And the leader in that I'm the guy that maybe kickstarted the domino effect. But in order to decentralize myself, thank you, Tim Minchin, for that really valuable life lesson, I would love to somehow empower my cult members, all 800 of them, to host our meetings at their place individually.
Okay.
So
it's a moving cult.
It's a moving cult with moving leaders.
Okay.
Because we're all empowered.
Right.
To treat each other really well.
Okay. So it's a moving cult. Mm-hmm. You're going to start as the leader?
Exactly. So I should start as the leader and I should prepare something really, really inspirational. Like all cult leaders do, there needs to be quite the spiel.
Okay.
We can workshop that now or later, but I imagine it's just something along the lines of if we're decentralizing, we've got to start central, and central would be at my place.
Right.
Now, the reason I'm saying houses as well, in people's houses in a domestic setting, is because that is where people spend their lives.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to look at this cult, and we're not going to use the word cult in the cult. It's going to be a cult that's not aware that it's a cult except for me, the real leader. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's going to be in people's houses because then they won't be able to separate that from their real life.
Right.
So we start at my place, and I have everybody over for an 800-person barbecue in my 2-bedroom townhouse in Coburg.
Yeah.
And I will. Now, fortunately, because of this amazing dice roll and your generosity, dear cultsultant, I've wound up with 800 people straight away.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. That's more people than I've ever had for anything.
Yeah, it's now a street party, essentially.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll apologize to my neighbours later, who I intend to get on board later. In fact, okay, the neighbours will be the first people that we recruit. Although, are we moving too far ahead?
No. Recruitment's a big part of a cult strategy.
Cool. I want to speak to my 800 people about why I believe there's goodness in all of them, and why I believe that they need to believe that in themselves, and why I think it's a great opportunity for them to go out and brighten somebody's day with the intention of them passing on the message. So we need to come up with some kind of mechanic, which I've not come up with, some kind of verbal and or some kind of exchange which occurs between them and the next ring out, which in this case would be my neighbours in Coburg, essentially winning them over, apologising for the street party, and then making them join the cult. Some kind of ripple effect outwards.
So I think that's pretty simple, but that's kind of all you need. So I'm about to burp on camera. No, it's fine.
Do it!
It's pretty
It'd just be a good little bite for Instagram. You know, Lord knows there's been no jokes that are actually good enough, but if you do a burp, you could just loop that.
Oh, yeah, I'm already stressing about how I'm going to clip this because every tangent is about 10 minutes long.
So sorry, everybody at home. Well, you do technically get a 90-second reel. So
Yeah. Oh, man. Fucking reels. Anyway, so this is all it is, right? So you start with one house party, and then you can call it whatever you want, like a sermon, a TED Talk, whatever. Because I think that you have that capacity to just be like, okay, you got 800 people here. It's a street party. I assume you've got the equipment to be able to just like put your speakers out front.
Oh yeah, so we can set it.
Yeah, and you just need a microphone. And then you just literally just do a sermon, and you are charismatic enough to just give how long do you want to do? 30 minutes? How long do you think?
This is good. See, this
your
is why
message.
This is why I needed you. This is the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Right. I was these kind of big ideas guy.
Yeah.
I needed you to bring me back down to earth. How long is this thing?
So if I wanted to attend this, I would want, because your message is simple. So you only need, let's say, an hour of the show. You only need an hour max. But even within that, I reckon you could get your message across in 10 to 15 and then open it up to the floor.
Oh, cool.
For like, I don't know, half an hour.
I love
and then
that.
the rest is DJ set, whatever you want to do.
Empower other people in the moment to share their experience of how somebody else has brightened their day. Mm-hmm. And I could just put it out to people. Yeah. And, something that a skill of mine is rallying people around other people.
Yeah.
So be like, how good was that? Don't we agree? Cult member 297. By the way, they have real names. Don't we agree, Phoenix? How good that time that somebody came and, bought Phoenix an ice cream after he lost his job and got mercilessly fired and made redundant from that job that he was working at in Cremorne. How good? And we can,
so specific.
Yeah. And we can all, and then of course, then that encourages other people to get up. Like, oh well, I too was this one thing happened to me, and then of course I'll sum it up at the very end. It goes, guys, friends, not followers, friends, because we're all equal here. We're decentralized now. We all have the power to do this. I would like a volunteer here to host us next week. Who's it going to be? And I want you all to bring one friend. Oh, that's how we do it.
Yeah, right. So right now what's happening is you are doing the sermon that you would do, and you've pretty much hit every point that you need to hit.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, because it's on this model, it technically doubles in size every week.
Yeah.
I think we need a week off. We can't just do it every day because you need to live your life. You need 6 other days that you can go and be kind to people.
Right. So
and then one day just have a good time with your culty friends.
So in terms of content for this a sermon that you're giving, so
which they won't know it's a sermon. We're calling it a street party.
You're calling it a street party.
Yeah, it is a sermon. You are bang on,
and you'll market it the same way that you market a DJ show.
Totally, and because we just don't want to turn people off. I don't think 800 people would come to a sermon. Although no, they would because I won them for free.
yeah.
But 1,600 people wouldn't.
You're starting with 800. So I think one thing that I've God, this is going to sound wanky, but
nothing sounds too wanky. I feel like we're both.
But I think one thing that
great big circle jerk in here, Phoenix.
Just whole podcast. One thing that I have learned is like just how much of an effect that you can have over just the people around you. So if you just focus on like the 5 people around, like you're closest to, you have a huge effect on them, and then they have a huge effect. So I think if you're given this,
are you noticing that just to because you intentionally made that unwanky, and I want you to bring your personal story into that. What's the effect that you've had on 5 people close to you?
I think it's just like I have really strong relationships with I like to think I do. They'd agree. I have very strong relationships with my closest friends. Like, I've got some friends that I will like fucking die for. They do the same for me.
They're lucky friends.
And then, and it's just that. It's like you have a very strong core group of friends that you have a huge impact of. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And if you don't have that, fucking get it because it's great.
You heard it here first. Have you considered friends? No, I absolutely get it.
That's what I mean. But if you're starting with 800 people that are already following your message, and then they go on to influence,
I really got lucky with the roll of the dice.
Yeah, you really did.
If you gave me 2, like we'd have years.
It would. Yeah, but if it's
to get a global population, that's true.
It's exponential growth, so it just goes.
Well, let's break it. Let's just nuts and bolts it for a second, though. If it is weekly. It's 52 weeks in a year and you started with 2 people. You need a double.
By the end of the year, you've taken over the world. You've achieved your goal.
Oh, you mean we can do the goal in a year?
I think so.
So
look,
good.
I'm not going to pretend I know how exponential growth works.
Best year of my life. So good.
So
and then we are living in utopia. That is the closest thing we can experience to utopia. Everybody that's listening along at home, see, this is your cult now that I'm commandeering.
Yes.
As your cultsultant cult league. That's meant to be colleague.
Okay.
Nice. Is for everybody watching along at home, I implore you that you have the power in you to make somebody's day at your next convenience. And you should fucking do it because it'll be good for you as well.
Have you ever considered being like a fucking like a motivational speaker?
No, but isn't that culty?
Yeah, 100%. It's like, who's that dude that had that Netflix special? It's like, I am not your guru. Have you seen that?
No, but do
you remember that guy?
Sign me up.
No, he's like that.
See, what he's doing is decentralizing his main character. Yeah. I'm not your guru, says the guru.
Yeah, like it says the guy who has a Netflix special. like he and I don't. Oh, fuck! I wish I remember his name. Yeah. There's a scene in that documentary where he's like that American guy. He got a like big jaw, and he's like giving all this motivational speaking, and this woman comes up and he's like, "What's holding you back?" And she's like, "Oh, my relationship, blah, 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 blah. Like, I just don't think it's going to work." And, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, "Call him right now." And then she fucking calls him and she's like, "You know what to do." And she breaks up with him, like, on the phone. And it's like straight up the funniest fucking thing.
So cool, though, because it's funny, but what he's really doing is empowering people to look within themselves for what they've already got.
Just take action, yeah.
And that's, I believe, I think, we've all been blessed with gifts in this life, and I think my gift is to help people discover theirs.
Okay, yeah. So in terms of your sermon that you're giving, right, what's a story that you would tell within that sermon about having a positive impact on a person?
Oh my gosh!
Like something that's happened in the last week. So you're about to step out and give your sermon. What's something that you've done in the past? Year or whatever that's a example of you spreading your positivity.
I mean, I don't know why I'm mad at you that you're putting me on the spot in a podcast which is geared around asking me questions which inherently put me on the spot. Okay, so the story I would actually tell is about how I once took LSD. I was like mid-20s. I'm 34 now, so it's a while ago. It's probably a decade ago. And I was struck by this extreme feeling of connection to everybody in the moment. So much so that I was having like quite a physical reaction to my mental realization. So I just started writing, trying to capture what was going on in my body. And I ended up whittling all these words down to 5 words. It was all you need is love. And I was like, the fucking Beatles. And I wasn't a Beatles fan before that. And dude, they're one of my favorite bands now because of that moment. And listened to the Beatles on repeat for the rest of the night by myself. It was like a stock standard kid on LSD story. And it was just the interesting thing about that was the takeaway from that. The drugs were off. That feeling has never, ever left me. So whilst I can't necessarily comment in this particular moment on the particular experience that I had, which made me realize that you should be nice to other people, I can say that there is a profound knowing deep within me that all you need is love. And I honestly believe with every ounce of my being that by extending the hand of kindness to your fellow man is the best way to bring us closer to our universal truth.
Yes, because in that hand that you're extending is a tab of LSD.
Touche.
I'm sorry, I just had to. But that is a beautiful story.
You should clip that bit.
It will be. So, but that's a beautiful message. Okay, so we need to move on.
Keeping in mind that for the actual sermon, not sermon, street party that I would throw, I would likely come up with a real example. You are correct.
Yes, but yeah. Okay, we got there. So
Thank you.
I think that's the end of the build phase.
Cool.
Now we are moving along because we otherwise we'll be here all night.
I am so sorry. Everybody
No. But we've done it all really. Because I don't think this thing is going to rely on financials. I don't think we need to sort out the financial. If somebody hosts every week, it's sort of it runs itself essentially.
It kind of runs itself.
So
yeah.
it's a weekly street party or party.
Yeah.
Where you just give.
You have to bring a friend.
You have to bring a friend, sermon.
Yeah.
And then you just, someone gives a sermon, you give the first one.
And then everybody, oh, well, I don't need to give the first one. After the first time, I don't need to do it.
And then you pass it on.
I can bear witness to the first few and just oversee it and make sure it's running well.
Right.
But the idea is run along now, children. You're doing it. You're doing the thing. I'll stop going after a while. Fuck this boring thing. I'll go to soccer practice.
Well,
that is the first thing I could think of that one would do on a weekend. I'm so
Do you play soccer?
No. But I'm planning on taking it up. I want to veto this bullshit sermon I've got to go to.
All right. Well, we're going to enter the test phase now.
Okay.
So we have entered the test phase. You've pre-shuffled these cards.
I did, and I did an appalling job, Phoenix, but I will say that I didn't look at them beforehand.
I'm going to just give him
Nice.
Give him a cut.
You're cutting them like a man that knows what he's doing too.
Yeah.
Can I show you what I do?
100%.
I don't know how to shuffle card. And Phoenix looks at me very haphazardly oh, mate, can you just give them a shuffle before we start? I'm like, sure. I was a bit nervous before the start of the podcast. Didn't want to let on. I'm like, sure thing, mate. And I just started bashing fucking cards. And how?
You're making it worse.
It's what I do with everything, Phoenix. I just want to go to soccer practice. Sorry, it was a little manic. I had a Red Bull before we came here.
Oh, fuck, really? I've had a peppermint tea. I think that explains a lot. Okay.
We're like the odd couple.
So pick a card.
Okay.
Yeah?
And look at it.
Yeah, tell me.
8 of hearts.
8. The suit doesn't matter. It's just the number.
Nice.
Okay, so this is the elderly card.
The elderly card.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with whatever's on the thing, cool. And then we're gonna see.
Did you write these?
Yeah. Wow. So your sick and elderly members can no longer help or contribute to your society, your cult. However, you're finding that they are a huge drain on resources.
Fucking typical.
The
elderly.
There's a large number of elderly that are bedridden and suffering. However, their families are choosing not to euthanize them. What do you do? I'm going to assume that since you're a kind person, you're pro-euthanasia.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, all of the kids I've met in Asia I like.
Fuck's sake.
Thank you. That's not good. My apologies. I also believe in assisted dying, yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and as a youth from Asia. I'm glad that you've...
talking to a real youth from Asia. Man. So I believe in assisted dying. I mean, that's Pandora's box, though, isn't it? Because Didn't you say that the families didn't want to kill them?
They're choosing not to euthanize them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's-
So I guess this is just more of a moral question in terms of,
Do we take them out? Do we
No,
just invite them to the party and say, hey, come on in here, Gramps, we got ya?
Or is it more that would you feel the moral obligation to try to convince those family members
Gosh,
to euthanize them or not?
this is a hectic question.
Yeah. Because if your whole thing is, we're spreading positivity and kindness, is there a moral duty there as the leader to,
I wonder if we bring just the right amount of COVID to the street party where they're going to fucking die either way. Because remember, we're under 60.
Yeah.
We're not dying.
Yeah.
These elderly people that are draining resources, let's be honest, they want to die. Family doesn't want to kill them. Sorry, COVID took them out anyway. I feel like that's it's moral. I mean, it's not moral.
Is it moral?
It's incredibly
in a way, it's kindness.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, kill them with kindness. That's my answer. I'd inject a small amount of Delta.
Beautiful. I think that works.
Omicron, sorry. Delta might take out some of the 50 plus and they're still useful.
All right. Another card.
Okay, nice. I'm just going to keep going from the top.
Yeah. You've shuffled them. So
Nice.
They're all fine. Ooh.
I got a jack.
A jack.
There'll be some people like me that watch it as well as listen.
Okay. We've never had this card on the podcast, and I don't know if this is going to work with your setup, but we're going to go for it.
We're going to squeeze this square peg into this round hole.
Oh yeah, we are. So
Make it work.
This is the prison fire card.
Prison fire.
Prison fire.
Nice.
So the prison is on fire.
Yeah.
Your worst criminals, murderers, rapists, real estate agents, etc.
Yeah. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
are trapped inside the prison. However, you know that in order to save them, you'll have to risk the lives of your best and brightest followers.
Okay.
So do you let the prison burn, or do you allow your best followers to enter the prison to save them, knowing that they might not make it back? So
this seems to be a question of sacrificing good for bad.
yes.
It's that as a hypothetical. And now I'm trying to wonder in what possible hypothetical scenario you would ever do that.
Would you ever? So let's start at the start. Would you have a prison within your cult? Would you have?
Just at the back of Tony's place. Oh, you seen the prison? Yeah, it's next to the den. Yeah, come on in.
Yeah. It travels with the cult every week.
That's George Pell in the corner. How are you? Georgie.
How do we make this work? Okay, so there's a
No. We can still do.
Okay, prison
because the kindness extends to murderers.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They've probably done some really good things in their life as well. And probably.
Yeah.
Or are just vulnerable people that just want to love and be loved.
So within your philosophy,
and if we're their greatest chance that they have of retribution is to fucking give them love.
right?
So they're out. But are you saying? Are you saying that we might need to sacrifice some of our good? Okay, so
If the prison's on fire,
yeah,
you need you can't save them all, so you're gonna have
got to send people in.
You're gonna have to send people in.
Well, okay, so I do a PSA.
Yep.
In one of our meetings,
Okay.
let him know the lay of the land.
Right.
This will be a meeting I choose to attend. I'll negate soccer training. And the reason I will is because this could be a job for patient zero over here. And I will likely let people know what's happening. I say, look, guys, over at Pentridge, I live in Coburg, so we're going to use Pentridge as the example. Over at Pentridge, which it's no longer a cinema, it is in fact a prison yet again. George Pell is on fire.
Right.
As you all know, our greatest chance of retribution is when we're given love. So anyone who wants to sacrifice themselves to get this fucking rock spider back into civilization, please go and do it. I guess what I'm saying is I'd give the agency to people.
To the people.
So if they want to do it, that's on them. Decentralize myself.
Right. So I guess that makes sense because your whole goal with...
I'm so not pro George Pell, by the way. That cunt deserves to fucking rot in jail. Sorry. I realized that some people watching that may have thought that I was excusing him, and I'm certainly not.
You've definitely been to a Tim Minchin show recently, hey?
Well said.
Okay, yeah. So, but because that is the whole point of your cult, so right? You're spreading a message. You're not, controlling them. So
Totally.
Yeah. So
letting
it's
people act on their own agency.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
But influencing the agency,
right?
Which, as you said, we have a vast influence on the 5 people closest to us.
Mm-hmm.
So in my cult situation, if everybody brings the person closest to them, then you have 1,600 exponential growth amount of people who have a vast influence on everybody around them.
Right. I think that works. I think that we land on an answer there. All right.
Nice.
Last scenario card.
Nice.
Last one.
All right, now I'm going to go from the bottom.
Okay.
It's a 4.
It's a 4. The 4.
Oh my God, Phoenix. What now?
It's the Judgment of Solomon card.
Ah, Solomon.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
So, do you know this story? Do you know the biblical story?
I don't.
Okay. So, it's taken straight from the Bible about King Solomon. There are 2 mothers in the same household. Both are mothers to an infant child of a similar age. One day it's discovered that one of these children have been smothered to death. So, these are 2 members of your cult. They're both mothers.
One's a murderer.
One is a murderer. Now the remaining child has been brought to you. Both the mothers are claiming that the remaining child is their child.
Oh.
And it's impossible to tell who the actual mother is. So they're both claiming ownership of the child.
Oh.
And you have to solve this issue.
Okay.
So one mother is saying, this is my child. The other mother is saying, this is my child. The person who it actually belongs to is, we don't know, but the person that it doesn't belong to is potentially a child murderer.
Mm. So I guess, the question really is, what's my concept of justice?
Yes.
I.e., if someone has committed murder, do I believe that they deserve justice? Well, of course I believe in justice, but do I then believe that they deserve to be incarcerated? Or
I think it's more, how do you work out who the mother? So, do you think that you're
totally
somebody
agree.
that can read people well, or do you have do you ever meet somebody? Because I know that you sort of assume that most people have good intentions.
except in this case, we know one of them's a fucking murderer.
One of them killed a baby.
Jesus,
So
that's hard. That's hard to be.
yeah, it's from the Bible, man. It's
Yeah.
so it's good.
You can't lock them both up.
Yeah.
because one of them's innocent.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so what your question assumes is that my cult, the cult, is responsible for making judicial decisions.
I know. It's just that they've chosen to go through you. So you could just be like, fuck this, and send them to the police.
This is what I was thinking. I was
Right.
just like, my cult doesn't need to deal with your shit. That or bring in just ramp up the Omnicron just enough where it takes them all out. It's getting less and less moral by the second.
It is.
I'm the fucking murderer. You should lock me
DJ, be
up.
kind to other people, except the child murderers
And potential child murderers.
and old people.
And children. Did we answer that?
I don't know.
Because what I'm doing, I'm handballing it to the police.
Yeah, okay. I think that's
my
a pretty sane solution.
Yeah. I think I understand that in some cults you want to keep things very insular.
Mm-hmm.
This is the antithesis of insular.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, we have the society for that.
Yeah.
Go to the cops.
But do you ever meet anyone and then you're
And
like...
I'd hug them both and say, I'm so sorry this has happened. And
Yeah.
fuck, imagine if one of them was the murderer. The empath in me goes, you're having a shit day. Come here.
Oh, we've all been there.
Now go to the cops. Yeah. Mate, the amount of times I've wanted to. No. Anyway.
Stubbed my toe and then killed a baby. Oh, bad day.
Wow.
Since we answer that one quickly, I'm going to give you a bonus scenario.
Oh, nice.
So you can...
Thank you. I
take-
like that.
take
That was
one
quick.
more.
That's the first quick thing we've
Wait,
done.
did I tell you how it's solved in the...
No. So
In the Bible?
What did old Solly go and do?
So Solomon, his solution was to declare that he was going to cut the baby in half, and each mother
Is this
can
in
have
the Bible?
Yeah, and then each mother can have one half of the baby, and then one of the mothers is like, "Don't cut the baby in half. She
clever.
can have it."
Clever.
And then Solomon's like, since you don't want to kill the baby, you must be the mother. And then he gives it to her, and then the
clever.
other woman, yeah.
It's way smarter than me.
Yeah, I mean, that's problem solving.
Yeah,
but we are going to give you one more.
Yeah, I could never write the Bible. Turns out. All right, let's go. Last one.
Last one.
6.
Okay, this is a good one, right? So
They've all been good.
Thank
the
you.
record.
So this is also taken.
Ill-fitting, but good.
I mean, this one is also taken from the Bible. So it's a prodigal son.
Nice. You were raised Catholic, weren't you?
I was raised Catholic,
And you're obviously very interested in religion.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah,
So
it's good stuff.
Hence
Yeah.
hence starting a cult cast.
Yeah, pretty much.
And referencing religion.
It all makes sense, doesn't it?
heavily. Nice. Once again, we're just pawns in his game.
We are. I mean, you are.
Yeah. See, this is
No, I'm one of you.
indoctrination.
So a defector of the cult has asked to return. So this guy was coming. He was coming every week, but he's he lost his faith in old Cali Padge. But now he wants to return, and I feel like you're pretty open to
Redemption.
Yeah.
And is the question, do I let him back in?
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
No questions asked. I'd have a chat with him.
Yeah.
Like I'm a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like, what did I do, bro?
Yeah.
'Cause
Okay.
you-
do you want to do a role play?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
that
so,
sounds good. So you've defected.
I've defected and I've come back.
Okay. Are we? And this is at one of the street parties.
Yeah. We're just chilling up the back, and I'm like, and I've just come up to you. So
Oh, you've just come up to me.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just enjoying a peppermint tea,
yeah.
and you come and tap me on the shoulder.
It's like, hey, DJ.
Hey, Phoenix, mate. Firstly, come here.
All right, we're gonna. Okay.
Come here. Hey. So, look, man. I noticed you went at last week's meeting, and a couple people told me that you lost a little bit of faith in the words were old Cali Padge. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I am Cali Padge. Mm-hmm. What's happened, bro?
I was just getting a bit just freaked out by the positivity. Like everybody's just so fucking positive. You know?
COVID positive, right?
Well, that too.
That too. Okay.
The dead people lying on the ground was a bit of a turn off, but it was mostly the positivity that was putting me off. You know, like as I grew up in a pretty rough area.
Yeah.
And when people are like super positive and chipper and happy and stuff, like I lose a bit of trust.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I always think they're up to something. So yeah, I just that just sort of turned me off for a little bit.
Mate, well, thanks so much for sharing that, dude. Yeah, you reminded me. I did a podcast recently for a friend of mine, Phoenix. He and we spoke a little bit about how the first time that he met me, he found my rampant positivity quite off-putting. Mm-hmm. And I reassured him, as I will with you right now, hypothetical human who is not Phoenix, that that's really normal. That happens with me all the time. And I completely understand. And I believe that society gives everybody, including myself, somewhat of a veil of cynicism that we all learn to pass through. So firstly, I completely understand why you would have lost that trust in me. And bro, I don't require your trust in me, but I will say that I'll now make it my mission to earn your trust in me.
Okay.
So is there anything I can do for you?
You can give me a tab of LSD.
Bro, I actually gave it to my friend Phoenix on his podcast last week. Fuck. But welcome back, man. Glad to have you here.
Oh, I'm glad to be back with the promise of LSD. All right. Cali Padge.
Pheno!
That is, congratulations. You've built a pretty successful cult. I'm going to give you a cult rating now.
I've been really looking forward to this moment. Thanks for today, by the way. This has been
no
awesome.
worries. So the cult rating is obviously based on whether or not I would want to join. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you points for the message is obviously beautiful. And it's something that I believe in. I know you do. Yeah, I'm a big softy.
I also suspect everyone does.
Yeah. I'm just going to give you a couple of points against killing, or the killing. Just The killing's a bit of a turn off.
I'm so embarrassed that killing even became a thing.
It's a cult, man. It always becomes a thing.
It always becomes a thing.
It's always a
To
thing.
quote Zach Dyer from episode 1, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Here we are.
But it's a beautiful thing that you've done. I like the non-committal part. One thing that, and this might determine whether or not how this works is like, do you have to attend every week?
Well, no, as your hypothetical counterpart will attest to. You didn't rock up one week.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've been slowly earning his trust ever since.
Yeah.
So no, certainly there's zero obligation.
Yeah.
But it's like a thing you want to come to.
Yeah.
Because your own life gets better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your life gets better because when you go back out and you get to go and be lovely to people all week, that becomes your mirror. Your world is everyone starts being really lovely to you. Mate, side note, and I'm wondering how I can say this in a non-wanky way. People are so fucking lovely to me.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
Every day. Free coffees.
What? Well, your hospo friends.
Yeah. It's so simple. When you're fucking good to people, they're good to you back.
Yeah.
So I would love to inspire people to give that to others and then watch that come back to them as well.
Yeah. It's a 10. It's a 10 out of 10.
Bro!
Just for the message and for the promise of LSD.
Yeah, there it is right there. Just hold on to it. In fact, let's just let it soak into your palm. All you need is love.
Are we going to...
Da, 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 da.
Please let me go. All right. Cali Padge, DJ, be kind to other people. Where can the people find you? Coburg Up Late.
Yes.
Yes.
Up Late in Coburg. That's where they can find me for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
At
fuck
Coburg Up Late on Instagram. I decided against getting a TikTok. I'm just not going to do it.
You're just not going to do it.
No, I'm just like, that is a ship that I'll let sail. I am sure that will affect me in a negative way in terms of fucking, I don't know, numbers. But it's on a day-to-day, as an addict in pretty much every sense of the word, I do not need fucking TikTok fucking up my life.
Okay.
So you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. You can now find me on Spotify. When you're done rinsing the shit out of this amazing podcast that Phoenix has put together, Cultcast, a cult that you're all a part of, you're willingly complicit in, check out Coburg Up Late on there as well. It brings me a lot of joy, that show.
It does.
I love doing it,
It is so much fun to watch.
You've seen it?
Oh, of course, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. It's just... And I'm not really that into dance or house music or whatever.
Nice.
It's just a good vibe.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, do you know what? It's meant to be. I'm designing it to make dance music palatable. Mm-hmm. I think I can be quite palatable, and I think dance music can be quite inaccessible. Can seem quite inaccessible. Like, oh, I'm not cool, or I don't like late nights, or or I'm antisocial. These are all very valid reasons to initially not want to indulge in dance music, but as a completely sober person who is not very cool, I can say dance music's the fucking greatest thing to ever happen to me, and all I want to do is share my love of that with others so then they can discover that too.
Beautiful. Cali Padge, thank you for building a cult with me.
Phoenix, this show fucking rules. Thank you, man.
I'm going to initiate a hug.
Yeah!
I've never done that.